What is, I like the state of Colorado, especially Boulder. Boulder, Colorado, to me is, it's just such a beautiful city. And the setting, just over there, you can see the Rocky Mountains. And over here is the University of Colorado campus. And over here is Pearl Street downtown. And I mean, it just goes on and on. Boulder, Colorado. And over there is the Naropa Institute. I mean, I love Colorado. I really do. But I can't understand some of the people getting elected to public office in that state. I mean, forget Boebert. I mean, she is just, I don't know. She's like 2 or 3 eggs smashed up against a wall. That's what Boebert always reminds me of. What a very, very weird, sad, disturbed person. But the Colorado Republican Party, they still call themselves the Republican Party rather than their true name, which is the Colorado Christian Fascist Party. So I'll go with what they call themselves. The Colorado Republican Party on Saturday selected a former state representative as its new chairman. Colorado Republican Party. He now promises to be a wartime leader. A wartime leader. He is at war, as so many of these Christian fascists are, with the Constitution of the United States, with Democrats, with liberals, with Jews, with immigrants, with Muslims, with transgender people, with people who don't fit right into the Christian fascist definition of a man or a woman. End of story. That's it. His name is Dave Williams. And this is the little prick who tried to, and he wasn't successful, but he tried to insert the phrase, "Let's go, Brandon," into his name when he ran on the Republican Party's primary ballot last year. He didn't get elected, but now he's going to represent, or he's going to be, chairperson of the Colorado Republican Party. And he tried to do that with into his name on the ballot, and he insists that the Orange Vomit won the 2020 election. And he was selected by the Colorado Republican Party's executive committee out of a 7-person field. Colorado Republican Party. Unbelievable. So they put this piece of human waste in as the chairperson. Well, okay. It suits me just fine because I think the people of Colorado will take note of this choice and start to realize, a lot of them have already, that the so-called Republican Party of Colorado is nothing but an assortment, a collection of jackasses, Christian terrorists, bums, jerk-offs, ignorant people who just don't seem to realize that 2.5 years almost into Biden's presidency, it should be time to stop saying that he didn't win the election. I mean, Now, the way Mr. Williams got elected chairperson of the Colorado Republican Party, it took 3 ballots, the voting, and then he crossed the required 50% threshold after he was endorsed by one of his competitors. And the person who endorsed him was the former Mesa County, Colorado clerk named Tina Peters, who is indicted. She's under indictment, felony charges for her role in illegally getting her bony goddamn hands into voting machines in the county that she was supposed to represent. So Miss Peters, the indicted former county election supervisor, she failed to get 10% of the vote, and that took her off the ballot. So she endorsed the guy who wants to claim that, yeah, well, Trump won and everything else flows from that. Jesus Christ. Now, Ms. Peters, of course, has denied the allegations against her, these felony charges, as so many of these Christians do. Oh, never happened, never happened. It's the deep state. They're coming after me. It's Joe Biden and the queers. They're doing it. They're doing it. She has become a prominent national figure in the conspiracy movement in this country, Miss Tina Peters. So, it just puzzles me about Colorado. You have this beautiful place. Oh, my God, it's beautiful. Well, you know, if you live there, if you don't live there, if you travel to Colorado, there's so many places in that state where you just want to lay back on a hillside and stare at the vista, look at the sky, listen to the wildlife, breathe in that mountain air. Yeah, it's kind of sparse on the oxygen, but so what? You get over the headache pretty quick. and just luxuriate in what the state of Colorado is. And then we have these scummy son of a bitches who are popping up like Jimson weed, which, if you smoke, it'll make you sicker than hell. It may kill you, too. Popping up like Jimson weed all over the political landscape, and somehow people are voting for them in Colorado? Well, not people. When the Republican Party Executive Committee in Colorado put this dumb son of a bitch in a leadership position. But what about Lauren Boebert? Hey, Bobo, what's up? Oh, my God. Back to Colorado, and this little jerkwad Williams, who is now the Christian fascist leader, conspiracy theorist, election denier, leader of the Colorado Republican Party, so-called. He gave a speech to nearly 400 Christian fascist activists and party leaders in Colorado. And in his speech, he brought up again the themes that he hit during his campaign that was unsuccessful, and that is that the Republican Party's recent poor conference and performance in Colorado is simply due to our not fighting hard enough. Not, obviously, any disconnect between the bullshit these people say and the majority of the state's voters. Oh, heaven forbid. How could it be something like that, right? And while he was singing the praises of being a belligerent son of a bitch, Williams told the group, quote, "Our party doesn't have a brand problem. Our party has a problem with feckless leaders. We need a wartime leader." End quote. So much of what these people say to me sounds so very much like what Hitler said in the 20s and 30s as Hitler rose through the ranks of the political class in Germany. I will watch the American History Channel frequently, and anytime I see something about Hitler, I have to turn on that particular channel. And the reason, because just looking at the little Fuhrer sends shivers up and down my spine, because when I look at this bastard, films of him, I see, along with maybe two or three other people in modern history, I see evil personified. This is what evil, I mean, from the bowels from the pits of the Christian hell, this is what evil, as it crawls and claws its way up out of the muck and the dirt, this is what evil looks like. Adolf Hitler, or Stalin, or Mao, or Pol Pot. This is what they look like. So I look at Hitler, these videos, these films, and to try to understand how a filthy, degenerate bastard like Adolf Hitler could take control of a country known for its music, it's art, it's poetry, it's science, and turned it into a plaything for this fascist monster, evil personified. Oh. So what so many of these Christian fascists are trying to do, either consciously or unconsciously, because fascism is as fascism does, it's to me like they're trying to mock or imitate some of the fascist leaders that presented in the 20th century and caused the deaths of 10, 20, 30, 50, 80, 100, 150 million people globally. The death never stopped. And some of the death was the industrial kind of mass murder that if Hitler didn't send ice water pouring through your veins, maybe a look at Treblinka or Bergen-Belsen or Sobibor or Auschwitz, maybe that would. Our party, Williams told the group, doesn't have a brand problem. Our party has a problem with feckless leaders. We need a wartime leader. And I wasn't there, but I can just see this bastard raising his hand. Like, I'll do it. I'll do it. Now, this is only one of 4 states where election deniers, bums, scum, terrorists, have won their state party chair positions. All of them Christian fascists who think they are getting the chairmanship of the Republican Party. But remember, the Republican Party just simply does not exist anymore. The other 3 are Idaho, Kansas, and Michigan. So, in Colorado, last year, if you remember, these Christian fascists were defeated. They lost every statewide election by double digits. And they're down to their lowest share of the state legislature in Colorado history. But that's not going to stop them, right? Because Jesus is on their side, don't you know? These Christian fascists have not won a major statewide race since 2014. And according to polling, they are way behind Democrats and unaffiliated voters where it concerns registration in the state of Colorado. So, while I love the state of Colorado and the Christian terrorists who operate in that state just make me almost ashamed to be a human being, I accept the idea that they are in a decided minority. But that really doesn't mean a whole lot anymore, does it? Huh? The National Socialists in Germany were a minority party at one time, weren't they? I know. I make the reference with Hitler all the time regarding fascism in this country. But so it's a perfectly valid comparison to bring up. Remember, the Nazi Party was not something isolated in cities in Germany in the 20s and 30s. Remember, we had the German-American Bund in this country, this friendship. We had American industrialists who supported Hitler. We had American superstars who supported Hitler. And do keep this in mind, no offense to real Germans, not the Nazis, but at the founding of this country, there was debate as to whether English or German should be the official language of the new United States of America. Huh? And then, of course, there was Lindbergh, who was awarded, given some of the highest civilian awards that the German government could give a non-combatant or a foreigner. Charles Lindbergh, who openly, along with Henry Ford and Pierre DuPont and other American industrialists, advocated for a coalition of the United States, Britain, and Germany to conquer the world. Now, of course, Hitler probably went along with that idea as long as he could be the top of the heap. But I digress. What I'm trying to say is, the example, as horrifying as it is, and as sick and crazy as Adolf got over the years, over a 20-year period, he went totally goddamn bonkers, completely mad, a real madman. But I keep referencing that because I see little bits and pieces of Nazism in this country. I'm sure you do too. It's there. And in this country, it's disguised to a greater degree than Hitler did as Christianity. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.